The Lord has described various kinds of knowledge and processes of religion: knowledge of Supreme Brahman, knowledge of Super Soul, knowledge of the different types of order and statuses of social life, knowledge of renounced order of life, knowledge of non-attachment, sense and mind control, meditation. He has described in so many ways different types of religion. Now, in summarizing Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says that Arjuna should give up all the processes that have been explained to him. He should simply surrender to Krishna. That surrender will save him from all kinds of sinful reactions. For the Lord personally promises to protect him. In the 7th chapter it was said that only one who has become free from all sinful reactions can take to the worship of Lord Krishna. Thus, one may think that unless he is free from all sinful reaction, he cannot take to the surrendering process. To such those it is here said that even if one is not free from all sinful reactions, simply by the process of surrendering to Sri Krishna he is automatically freed. There is no need of strenuous effort to free oneself from sinful reactions. One should accept Krishna as the supreme savior of all living entities. With faith and love, one should surrender into him. The process of surrender to Krishna is described in the Haribhakta Vilasa. According to the devotional process, one should simply accept such religious principles that will lead ultimately to the devotional service of the Lord. One may perform a particular occupational duty according to his position in the social order, but if by executing his duty one does not come to the point of Krishna consciousness, all his activities are in vain. Anything that does not lead to the perfectional stage of Krishna consciousness should be avoided. One should be confident that in all circumstances Krishna will protect him from all difficulties. There is no need to thinking how one should keep the body and soul together. Krishna will see to that. One should always think himself helpless and should consider Krishna the only basis for his progress in life. As soon as one seriously engages himself in devotional service to the Lord, there are different processes on devotional service to the Lord in full Krishna consciousness. At once he becomes freed from all contamination of material nature. There are different processes of religion and purificatory processes by cultivation of knowledge, meditation in the mystic yoga system. But one who surrenders into Krishna does not have to execute so many methods. That simple surrender into Krishna will save him from unnecessarily wasting time. One can thus make all progress at once and be freed from all sinful reactions. One should be attracted by the beautiful vision of Krishna. His name is Krishna because he is all attractive. One who becomes attracted by the beautiful, all-powerful, omnipotent vision of Krishna is fortunate. There are different kinds of transcendentalists. Some of them are attached to the impersonal Brahman vision, some of them are attached by the super soul feature. But one who is attracted to the personal feature of the Supreme Personality of Godhead are above all who attracted by the Supreme Personality of Godhead as Krishna himself is the most perfect transcendentalist. One should be attracted by the beautiful vision of Krishna. His name is Krishna because he is all attractive. One who becomes attracted by the beautiful, all-powerful, omnipotent vision of Krishna is fortunate. There are different kinds of transcendentalists. Some of them are attracted to the impersonal Brahman vision. Some of them are attracted by the super soul feature. But one who is attracted to the personal feature of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and above all, one who is attracted by the Supreme Personality of Godhead as Krishna himself, is the most perfect transcendentalist. In other words, devotional service to Krishna in full consciousness is the most confidential part of knowledge, and this is the essence of the whole Bhagavad Gita. This is essence of the whole Bhagavad Gita. One should be attracted by the beautiful vision of Krishna. His name is Krishna because he is all attractive. One who becomes attracted by the beautiful, all-powerful, omnipotent vision of Krishna is fortunate. There are different kinds of transcendentalists. Some of them are attached by impersonal Brahman vision, some of them are attracted by the super soul feature, but one who is attracted to the personal feature of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and above all, one who is attracted by the Supreme Personality of Godhead as Krishna himself, is the most perfect transcendentalist. In other words, devotional service to Krishna in full consciousness is the most confidential part of knowledge, and this is the essence of the whole Bhagavad Gita. Karma yogis, empiric philosophers, mystics, and devotees are all called transcendentalists, but one who is pure devotee is the best of all. The particular words used here, Mashuchaha, don't fear, don't hesitate, don't worry, are very significant. One may be perplexed as to how one can give up all kinds of religious form and simply surrender into Krishna, but such worry is useless. Arjuna said, "You are the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the ultimate abode, the purest, the absolute truth. You are the eternal, transcendental, original person, the unborn, the greatest. All the great sages such as Narada, Asita, Devala, and Vyasa confirm this truth about you, and now you yourself are declaring it to me. O Krishna, I totally accept as true all that you have told me. Neither the demigods nor the demons, a Lord can understand personally. After hearing Bhagavad Gita from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Arjuna accepted Krishna as Param Brahma, the Supreme Brahman. Every living being is Brahman, but the Supreme Living Being or the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the Supreme Brahman. Param Dhamma means that he is the supreme rest of or abode of everything. Pavitra means that he is pure and untired by material contamination. Purusha means that he is the supreme enjoyer, Shasvatam original, Divyam transcendental, Adidevam the supreme personality of Godhead, Ajam the unborn, and Vibhum the greatest. Now one may think that because Krishna was a friend of Arjuna, Arjuna was telling him all this by way flattery, but Arjuna just to drive out this kind of doubts from the mind of the readers of Bhagavad Gita. Substantial these places, the next verse, then he said that Krishna is accepted as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, not only by himself, but by authorities like Narada, Asita Devala, and Vyasadeva. These are great personalities who distribute the Vedic knowledge as it is accepted by all acharyas. Therefore, Arjuna tells Krishna that he accepts whatever he said to be completely perfect. Sarvam etatram manye. I accept everything you say to be true. Arjuna also says that the personality of the Lord is very difficult to understand and that he cannot be known even by the great demigods. This means that the Lord cannot even be known by personalities greater than human being. So how can a human being understand that Sri Krishna without becoming his devotee? Therefore, Bhagavad Gita should be taken up in a spirit of devotion. Therefore, Bhagavad Gita should be taken up in a spirit of devotion. One should not think that he is equal to Krishna, nor should he think that Krishna is originally personality of even a very great personality. Lord Shri Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead. So according to the statement of Bhagavad Gita or the statement of Arjuna, the person who is trying to understand the Bhagavad Gita, we should at least theoretically accept Shri Krishna as the supreme personality of Godhead. And with that submissive spirit we can understand the Bhagavad Gita. Unless one reads the Bhagavad Gita in submissive spirit, it is very difficult to understand Bhagavad Gita because it is great mystery. Just what is the Bhagavad Gita? The purpose of Bhagavad Gita is to deliver mankind from the nescience of material existence. Arjuna said, "You are the supreme personality of Godhead." The purpose of Bhagavad Gita is to deliver mankind from nescience of material existence. Every man is a difficulty in so many ways, as Arjuna also was a difficulty in having to fight the battle of Kurukshetra. Arjuna surrendered into Sri Krishna, and consequently this Bhagavad Gita was spoken. Not only Arjuna, but every one of us is full of anxieties because of his material existence. Our very existence is in the atmosphere of non-existence. Actually, we are not meant to be treated by non-existence. Our existence is eternal, but somehow or other we are put into asat. Asat refers to the which does not exist. Out of so many human beings who are suffering there are a few who are actually inquiring about their position as to that they are put into this arcade position and so on. Unless one is awakened to this position of questioning his suffering, unless he realizes that he doesn't want suffering but rather wants to make a solution to all suffering, then one is not to be considered a perfect human being. Humanity begins when this sort of inquiry is awakened in one's mind. In the Brahma Sutra, this inquiry is called Brahma Jignasa. Hato Brahma Jignasa. Every activity of the human beings is to be considered a future failure unless he inquires about the nature of Absolute. Therefore, those who begin to question why they are suffering or where they come from and where they shall to go after that, the proper students for understanding Bhagavad Gita, the sincere students should also have a firm respect for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Such a student was Arjuna. Lord Krishna designs specifically to reestablish the real purpose of life when man forgets the purpose. Even then, out of many human beings who awaken, there may be one who actually enters the spirit of understanding his position, and for him this Bhagavad Gita is spoken. Actually, we are all swallowed by the tigers of nescience. But the Lord is very merciful upon living entities, especially human beings. And to this end, he spoke the Bhagavad Gita, making his friend Arjuna his student. Being an associate of Lord Krishna, Arjuna was above all ignorance, but Arjuna was put into ignorance on the beautiful of Kurukshetra, but to question Lord Krishna about the problems of life so that the Lord could explain them for the benefit of future generation of human being and chalk out the plane of life. Then man could act accordingly. The perfect of mission of human life. The subject of Bhagavad Gita entails the comprehension of 5 basic truths. First of all, the science of God is explained, and then the constitutional position of the living entities, jivas. First of all, the science of God is explained, and then the constitutional position of the living entities, jivas. There is Ishvara, which means the controller, and there are jivas, the living entities, which are controlled. If a living entity says that he is not controlled, but that he is free, then he is insane. The living being is controlled in every respect, at least in the conditioned life. So, in the Bhagavad Gita, the subject matter deals with the Ishvara, the supreme controller, and the jivas is controlled living entities. Prakriti, material nature, and time, the duration of existence of the whole universe of the manifestation of material nature and karma, are also discussed. The cosmic manifestation is full of different activities. All living entities are engaged in different activities. From Bhagavad Gita we must learn what God is, what the living entities are, what Prakriti is, what the cosmic manifestation is, how it is controlled by time, and what the activities of the living entities are. Out of these 5 basic subjects matter in Bhagavad Gita, it is established that the Supreme Godhead, or Krishna, or Brahman, or the Supreme Controller, or Paramatma, you may use whatever name you like, is the greatest of all. The living beings are in quality like the Supreme Controller. For instance, the Lord has control over the universal affairs of material nature, and will explain it in the later chapters of Bhagavad Gita. Material nature is not independent. She is acting under the direction of the Supreme Lord. As Lord Krishna says, Maya Kyakshena Prakriti Suyate Sachara Charam. This material nature is working under my direction. When we see wonderful things happening in the cosmic nature, it should know that behind this cosmic manifestation there are controllers. Out of these 5 basic subjects, material nature itself is considered by 3 qualities. Being is associate of Lord Krishna, Arjuna was above the ignorance, but Arjuna was put into ignorance on the battlefield of Kurukshetra just to question Lord Krishna about the problems of life, so that the Lord could explain them for the benefit of future generation of human beings, and chalk out the plan of life. Then man could act accordingly and perfect the mission of human life. Out of these 5 subject matters, Bhagavad Gita is established that Supreme Godhead, or Krishna, or Brahman, or the Supreme Controller, or Paramatma, you may whatever name you like, is greatest of all. The subject of Bhagavad Gita entails that comprehension of the 5 basic truths. First of all, the science of Bhagavad Gita is explained, and then the constitutional position of the living entities, jivas. There is Ishvara, which means the controller, and there are jivas, and the living entities which are controlled. If a living entity say that he not controlled, it is not proper. Similarly, the Supreme Lord is the driver under whole direction everything of working. Now the jivas, all the living entities, have been accepted by the Lord, as we will note in the later chapters in the part of past. Material nature is not independent. She is acting under the direction of the Supreme Lord. This material nature is working under my direction. When we see wonderful things happening in cosmic nature, we should know that behind this cosmic manifestation there is control. Nothing could be manifested without being controlled. It is childish not to consider the controller. For instance, a child may think that an automobile is quite wonderful to be able to run without horse or other animal pulling it. But a sane man knows that nature of the automobile engineering arrangement. He always knows that behind the machinery there is a man, a driver. Similarly, the Supreme Lord is a driver under whose direction everything is working. Now the jivas or the living entities have been accepted by the Lord, as we will note in the later chapter, as his parts of parcel. A particle of gold is also gold. A drop of water from the ocean is also salty. And similarly, with the living entities being part of parcel of the Supreme Controller Ishvara or Bhagavan Lord Shri Krishna, have all the qualities of the Supreme Lord in minute quantity because we are minute Ishvaras, subordinate Ishvaras. Subordinate Ishvaras. Now the Divas or the living entities have been accepted by the Lord, as we will note in the later chapters. A particle of gold is also gold, a drop of water from ocean is also salty, and similarly with the living entities being part of parcel of the Supreme Controller Ishvara of Bhagavan. Lord Shri Krishna have all the qualities of the Supreme Lord and minute quantity because we are minute Ishvaras, subordinate Ishvaras. We are trying to control nature as presently we are trying to control space or planets, and this tendency to control is because it is in Krishna. But although we have tendency to lord it over material nature, we should know that we are not the supreme controllers. This is explained in Bhagavad Gita, what is material nature. This is also explained in Gita as inferior prakriti, inferior nature. The living entity is explained as a superior prakriti. Prakriti is always under control. Whether inferior or superior, Prakriti is female, and she is controlled by the Lord just as the action of a wife controlled by the husband. Prakriti is always subordinate, predominated by the Lord, who is the predominator. The living entities and material nature are both predominated, controlled by the Supreme Lord. According to the Gita, the living entities, although part of parcel of the Supreme Lord, are to be considered Prakriti. This is clearly maintained in the 7th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Apariyamitastiv. This material nature is my inferior Prakriti, but beyond his is another Prakriti, Jiva Bhutam, the living entity. Material nature itself is considered by three qualities: the mode of goodness, the mode of passion, and the mode of ignorance. Above these modes there is eternal time, and by combination of these modes is nature under the control of purview of the eternal time. There is activities which is called karma. These activities are being carried out from the time of immortal, and we are suffering or enjoying the fruits of our activities. For instance, suppose I am businessman and have worked very hard with intelligence and have amassed a great bank balance. Then I am an enjoyer, but then so I have lost my money in business. And then I am sufferer. Similarly, in every field of life, we enjoy the result of our work or we suffer the result. This is called karma. Ishvara, the Supreme Lord, Jiva, the living entity, Prakriti, nature, Kala, eternal time, and karma, activity, are all explained in the Bhagavad Gita. Out of these five, the Lord, the living entity, is material, nature, and time of eternal. The time are eternal. The manifestation of Prakriti may be temporary, but it is not false. Some philosophers say that the manifestation of material matter is false, but according to the philosophy of Bhagavad Gita, or according to the philosophy of the Vaishnavas, this is not so. The manifestation of the world is not accepted as false, it is accepted as real, but temporary. But temporary. It is like an into cloud which move across the sky, or the coming of the rainy season which nourish grains. As soon as the rainy season is over and as soon as the cloud goes away, all the crops which were nourished by the rain dry up. Similarly, the material manifestation takes place. It is certain interval, stays for the while and then disappears. Such are the working are Prakriti, but this cycle of working eternally. Therefore, Prakriti is eternal, it is not false. The Lord refers to this as my Prakriti. This material nature is the separated energy of the Supreme Lord, and similarly, the living entities are also the energy of the Supreme Lord, although they are not separated but eternally related. So the Lord, the living entity, material nature, and time are the interrelated and are all eternal. Eternal. My Prakriti, this material nature, is separated energy of Supreme Lord, and similarly the living entity are also the energy of Supreme Lord, although they are not separated but eternally related. So the Lord is living entity, so the Lord, the living entity, material nature, and time are the interrelated are all eternal. However, the other item, karma, is not eternal. The efforts of karma may be very old